We've learned a Florida jury is deadlocked in the trial of a woman accused of trying to hire a hitman to murder her then newlywed husband in 2009. Dalia Dippolito was already convicted once of the crime, but that conviction was overturned. The defense claims that police were simply scripting the case for the television show Cops, which happened to be in town filming.
The fact that you were not able to reach a unanimous verdict does require a mistrial. But you should not think that that reflects in any way poorly on you. You've done your job. You've been here. You've listened to the evidence. You've done your best to reach a verdict. You simply have not been able to agree.
That was Judge Glenn Kelly as he dismissed the jury following their declaration of mistrial. On the phone to discuss it all with me, former defense attorney Emily Compagno. And Emily, what did you make of what we saw today?
Hi, Josh. I thought this was really fascinating, and to me, it illustrates how important jury selection is because, frankly, here they were hung 3-3. Well, if they had been slightly tipped in a different favor, you could have had a different 6. So to me, again, it just illustrates, obviously, not only how paramount jury selection is, but how crucial it is to have that particular dynamic in your favor. And interestingly, prosecution in this trial, this time around, they only called 2 witnesses. They called the officer who posed as the hitman, and they called the lead investigator. So moving forward in the second trial, or actually the third, but the second trial here, this will be a different path for the prosecution to perhaps call more witnesses because here they failed at their attempt to convince overwhelmingly the jury.
Now, again, as you mentioned, prosecutors have said already they do intend to try to retry this case as it's either the second or third time, depending on how you're counting. But how will what played out here impact what is seen by that jury, presumably come 2017?
Right. Well, we're going to see the same back and forth in pre-trial motions about the video itself showing Dippolito, speaking with a hitman, trying to pay him or allegedly to pay him to kill her husband. And we're going to see the same motions back and forth as well about the allegations that she attempted to poison him prior as well. Now, remember, the reason that her conviction in 2011 was overturned was for 2 reasons. Number one, the jurors were individually not questioned as to their exposure to media publicity. And number 2, they all heard that allegation of her allegedly poisoning her husband prior. So my point is that these same about 5 paramount issues in this trial keep coming up every single time, and they're going to fight over it again. Is it prejudicial for the jury to see that video? Is it prejudicial for them to hear that she allegedly tried to poison her husband before? Is it prejudicial if they are exposed to too much media publicity, and how can you guarantee they aren't overexposed to media publicity? Same stuff all over again.
And so if it's the same stuff all over again, and you mentioned it in your first answer there, that it will come down to jury selection, is it reasonable? Do you think we will see a different result next time?
Well, I hope so, obviously, for our tax dollars' sake. But also, yes, I think it would be really rare to have 2 hung juries in a row. But that says something as well. And note that the prosecution, they can pursue this case over and over and over. So there are no laws preventing mistrial. There's no a finite amount that they have to go forward. Now, there's obviously a declination they can take. They can decide not to proceed. Obviously, they are here, but my point is that it's an exhausting process, and certainly it can keep going on and on.
As we heard again here on our air, the next bit of this trial to come, January 6, 2017, and so at that point, it does appear it will all begin anew. Emily Compagno, very much appreciate the time and insight today.
Thank you so much for having me.